Good evening. You're watching the Gambia radio and television services. This is the news with me, Winifred Nicole. In the headlines this evening, the Gambia government pledges to invest in Tibet development to enhance scientific research, independent learning, critical thinking, and creativity in the Gambia. The West African Competitiveness in Agriculture project, with support from United Purpose, on Tuesday converged for a day-long forum on market analysis and strategic recommendation on onion value chain and other products. Combating illicit substance abuse, drug law enforcement officers apprehend suspected drug traffickers. Cost of living spikes across the world and inflation in many countries has hit record levels due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and rising global instability. The World Food Programme says over 20 million people in Ethiopia need food assistance following prolonged drought and a conflict that the United Nations says is affecting over 9 million people in the northern region. Well, viewers, those are the headlines. Well, it's good to have you with us. Well, my name is Winifred Nicole. The President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, has reaffirmed his government's resolve to promote and invest in Tibet development to enhance scientific research, independent learning, critical thinking, and creativity in the Gambia. President Barrow was speaking at the UN Transforming Education Summit 2022 in New York. The event, as we hear in this report by Momodou Jallo, is being convened in response to what the UN believes is a global crisis in education, which threatens the future of children and young people worldwide.
The UN Transforming Education Summit is one of the side events of this year's gathering of world leaders. The summit seeks to shine the spotlight on the importance of education and the crisis it faces globally. The President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, Tuesday addressed the summit at UN headquarters in New York, where he outlined the Gambia's efforts and strategies in promoting and providing quality and cost-effective education for Gambian children and young people, which is seen as a basic human right.
The Gambia upholds education and skills acquisition as a right for every citizen. And this drives the search for appropriate approaches to transform education for the attainment of our goals and commitments. Key among these is achieving high levels of learning and skills outcomes.
This, according to the President, stems from his government's firm belief that investing in critical structural reforms, innovative curricular adjustments, and improved training programs has the potential to enhance independent learning, creative interpersonal skills, and critical thinking capabilities with renewed focus on technical and vocational education training.
The government will establish more technical senior secondary schools, upgrade subvented tertiary institutions to degree awarding institutions, and establish tertiary TVET centers in all administrative regions. The objective is to build TVET-based foundational skills and promote indigenous content. The Gambia government resolved to promote and invest in TVET and skills development to enhance scientific research and innovation, independent learning, critical thinking, and creativity.
The President, however, lamented the lack of adequate resources to finance TVET scientific research, innovation, and technology development, but reassured that government will continue to explore smart financing strategies to meet its commitments.
The government will pursue innovative and smart financing strategies of education. Steps will be taken so that increased public budget allocation and spending are anchored on efficiency measures and partnerships expanded to meet these commitments.
The Gambian leader concluded by describing this summit as a critical milestone that could pave the way for the attainment of the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Momodou Jallo, GRTS.
Meanwhile, the First Lady, Her Excellency Madam Fatouba Barrow, also graced the Zero Waste campaign championed by the First Lady of the Republic of Turkey, Madam Emine Erdogan, at its mission in New York. Mamadou Diallo again.
On the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, the First Lady, Her Excellency Madam Fatouba Barrow, was invited to a high-profile event at Turkey's permanent mission in New York. Her counterpart, Emine Erdogan, hosted the event as part of her Zero Waste campaign, a project she launched in 2017, which aims to contain waste and reduce pollution. Speaking at the event, Madam Erdogan thanked the Gambia's First Lady for the participation in the event, which is now gaining global traction. She expressed her commitment to support initiatives, campaigns, and projects that promote zero waste in order to encourage responsible waste production and consumption. The world faces an enormous challenge in managing domestic and industrial waste, and this, the director of UN Habitat, Maimouna Maud Sarif, believes requires collective efforts to reduce risks to people and the environment. She equally commended Madam Erdogan for her strong leadership on zero waste, while reassuring her of the UN Habitat's support. Mamadou Diallo, GRTS.
The West African Competitiveness in Agriculture project, with support from United Purpose on Tuesday, converged for a day-long forum on market analysis and strategic recommendation on onion value chain and other products. The project, which is funded by the European Union, is aimed at boosting local onion production for sustainable livelihood. Baba Sila picks up the rest of that story.
The strategic framework designed by consultants highlighted significant recommendations which mainly include poverty reduction, increased income for women, as well as improving growth and access to market, among others. The three-year project funded by the European Union aims to increase local onion production by tackling producer challenges as highlighted by consultants, who also recommend the creation of a platform for onion producers to market their products. The project manager, Ngansa Toure, gave a brief background of the scheme and significant achievement registered since the commencement of the project.
The reason why we want to use this approach is because we know women are into vegetable production. And we know some of them are producing for the family's consumption, but they are also trying to sell some to increase their income level. However, their access to market is limited. And then we also know that in our societies, we have people like the people living with disability, women who are heading households, and so on and so forth. Their vulnerability level seems to be a bit different from the rest of the women.
To achieve the ultimate objectives of the project, the executive director of Njawara Agricultural Training Center, Mama M.K. Mane, appealed for collaboration towards the successful implementation of the program.
The work has been commissioned by United Purpose, but the ownership is a national ownership. This is why everybody is called here, so that it becomes the national document. Anybody can use it by obtaining permission from UP if you want any data. But I think we have to do justice. I think this is why we are all here.
Proper implementation of recommendations made by consultants is not only earmarked to boost local production, but also stimulate contribution to industry, regional trade, export, and job opportunities. Pawasila, GRTS.
The National Council for Civic Education, in partnership with the National Youth Council, recently organized a day-long training for the decentralized structures in the Lower River region. The capacity building funded by the UN Peace Building Fund was meant to promote inclusiveness and participation of women and young people in grassroots governance. Usman Balde has more on that.
Held on the theme Inclusion Beyond Participation for Youth and Women in Grassroots Governance. The forum was also aimed at creating a platform for members of the decentralized structures to exchange ideas while building their capacities on the inclusiveness and participation of women and young people. In his opening remarks, Program Officer at the National Council for Civic Education, Yusfa Bojang, said despite the gains made in the involvement and participation of youth and women governance decision-making, there is still room for improvement.
Looking at our country, statistically, they told us we have over 60% of the population are youths. They told us again over 50% are women. But if you look at our structures that we have, at community level, at district level, at regional level, you realize that there is still more room for improvement in terms of representation, in terms of involvement. And here, when we're talking about participation here, we are not talking for the sake, but people need to be actually involved. People need to be actually given a voice. They need a voice to take part in all the development initiatives.
Bojang assured his office commitment to the promotion of youth and women participation in decision making. This, he said, is crucial to sustainable development.
This is a nationwide engagement where we try to promote this initiative. We try to promote this culture of making sure that whatever thing we are doing, little or big, we make sure that everybody is involved. That way we believe development can be sustainable. That way we believe the development also can be appreciative and it can be holistic. It will not be a one-sided thing. Because where we're talking about development for women, for instance, and you exclude women, most of the time perhaps maybe whatever we may come up with, it might be one-sided. If you're talking about also any initiative to support people that are physically challenged and they are not involved, yet we think we may miss certain things. Likewise, the youth. So it is important that whatever we want to do, we make sure that everybody is involved.
The representative of the Mansakonko Area Council, Boa Kinte, spoke of the importance of youth and women participation in governance, particularly effectiveness of the decentralized structures.
Even the old people could also be part of it. But when you say governance, no one is exception to it. Because it is important for people to be part of the process. There you know what is happening. So governance entails everything, because if there is good governance, society will be at ease. So therefore, when people participate in governance, that means they will feel being part of the process and they feel that they can contribute to nation building.
The representative of the Chief of Jara West, Ismaila Seidikan, and the regional president of Mother Clubs, Rabiatu Fofana, both hailed NCCE and partners for the initiative, saying it will promote inclusion of women in decision-making processes. Usman Balde, GRTS News.
The United States Agency for International Development, USAID, on Tuesday presented $250,000 to the Gambia Red Cross Society to support 757 households affected by this year's torrential rains. Majain Barrow has more on that.
The recent heavy rains have hit several regions of the Gambia, leading to widespread flooding. Some houses have been severely affected, leaving occupants to evacuate to public buildings, including schools, for safety. The Secretary General of the Gambia Red Cross Society, Alassane Senghor, said his organization will work with partners agencies in order to support the victims and other vulnerable families, adding that the full cycle of disaster management continues through the support from USAID.
Climate change, COVID, and the conflict. So these are the triple C's that are having negative effect on human beings, which means we have to do things much more quicker and we have to do it better and we need to coordinate and work together. So I just want to say thank you to you and thank you to government and also NDMA for all the work. I think because of those challenges, this is the time we need to work together more and to harness the capacities and the resources.
The U.S. Ambassador to the Gambia, Sharon Cromer, stated that the government cannot do it alone.
I appreciate that a lot of the support coming from the U.S. will go to the most vulnerable to help lift them up and put them back on their feet. And I understand that there's a lot of work that needs to be done to make that happen. But this is a humanitarian crisis response. We're also here and we'll be working with the National Disaster Management Agency and the Executive Director to look at long-term capacity building opportunities.
Sana Dahaba is the Executive Director of the National Disaster Management Agency.
I want to take this opportunity to thank the government of the Gambia for creating the enabling environment when it comes to disaster governance in this country. Secondly, I want to inform you, Your Excellency, that Red Cross has always been a dependable partner when it comes to disaster management and response in this country. Because we've come to a point that where we kind of harmonize the data, we are using the same data and we are serving the same people.
Some of the victims also received dignitary kits like menstrual hygiene pads, baby diapers, laundry soap, antibiotic soap, towel, pans, bucket, mattresses, and a set of bed cover, amongst others. According to organizers, the cash amount of $250,000 is meant to support victims, numbering from 757 households, which is over 68,000 people, through mobile clinic services, shelter and water, sanitation and hygiene, in addition to 670 households initially supported. Majan Baro for GRTS News.
Combating illicit substance abuse, drug law enforcement officers apprehend suspected drug traffickers. The suspects, as Kajetu Jalo reports, are currently helping the anti-narcotic officers in their investigations.
The Drug Law Enforcement Agency, with support from the citizenry, is expanding its crackdown on illicit drug users and traffickers in a bid to keep the Gambia drug-free, following up on a clear source relating to a notorious drug suspect. Dilik officials explain how Lamin Jaju was arrested at Faratu Bojankunda on Thursday.
Around the hours of 1 to 2 p.m. when our operatives posted at Brikama received an information regarding the said Lamin Jaju, alias Lamin Sajo, who was transporting drugs in his vehicle, private vehicle. So they intercepted him around Botrop, where they signaled him to stop, and he failed to stop. So a pursuit was given from Botrop to around Farato Bojankunda, where they have to knock his vehicle for him to stop, so that arrest can be effected on him.
Anti-narcotics officials said operatives have had several encounters with the suspect, describing his case as a daunting challenge.
I was once a victim involved in his drug trafficking issues. Sometime around October 2020, I received an information regarding the said Lamin Jaju transporting drugs in his private vehicle. I led a team to Old Yundum Coastal Road Police Station. So when he saw the traffic officers slowing down the traffic, he had to divert the traffic and use the other side of the road to escape him not being noticed or being arrested. So we tried to stop him, and he have to drive recklessly on us. I have to jump and sit on top of the vehicle, which is a Mercedes-Benz, green in color, private. From Old Yundum police checkpoint up to Kololi Tavern, I was on top of the vehicle, shouting for help, knocking the vehicle for him to stop. But he gave the deaf ear, and he even applied pepper spray on me.
We believe that people who have had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cases before the court, I think their previous case should also weigh in to determine and help guide the court as to the conduct and behavior of these people.
Piaro Seidiba further highlighted several other cases currently in court. Seidiba reiterated the importance of the criminal judicial system in cutting down substance abuse, urging the need to be proactive in prosecuting offenders, as enshrined in Section 43(1) of the Drug Control Act 2003.
When the Act has said, Section 43 is very clear for trafficking cases, it's 1 million and the mandatory jail term of 10 years. But you use alternative sentencing guidelines referring to either the CPC or other provisions and then fining them 80, 70,000, it's not going to help the situation. So this is why this time around we felt that sometimes back, I think 2 months back on Nakomag, I had to write a story and give his case history, all the previous encounters that we've had with him, and not only him, and so many others. So therefore, we believe that we are all complaining about the situation, but the best way we can abate this is to ensure that we have stringent measures, especially on the traffickers, because globally that is the stance.
Transnational organized crimes Gangs continue to move hordes of drugs into the country, with young people highly vulnerable amid increasing abuse of dangerous substances. The Drug Law Enforcement Agency is mobilizing concerted efforts, including the media and civic population, to share relevant and timely information to keep the Gambia free of illicit drugs and trafficking. Khadijatu Jallow reporting for GRTS News.
Now, vaccines are the most effective ways to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic, according to health experts. However, in the Gambia, concerns over side effects and efficacy are major issues deterring many from taking the jabs. In this report by Janke Toure, who assesses the reasons for this hesitancy among Gambians.
A safe and effective vaccine is the ultimate key to mitigating the COVID-19 pandemic. But many are reluctant to take the jab due to perceptions surrounding its side effects and efficacy. Sambaba Public Health Officer explains the COVID-19 vaccines and their potential side effects.
It's very, very important that people are also told what they should expect when they are vaccinated. This usually our teams do. There is usually a very short conversation that they will have with the people before they are vaccinated, and they also give you that forum to ask any question before being vaccinated, because that is also very important to us. It also helps us improve on how we do. There are side effects. When some people take it, they will have joint pain. People would have joint pain and they will feel like sick. But the good thing about it is they're very, very short. This usually doesn't last beyond 72 hours. Others will have headache, others will have nausea, others will have fever.
The government of the Gambia received different types of vaccines from Johnson & Johnson, Sinopharm and AstraZeneca. But AstraZeneca vaccine is reported to have more side effects than others, according to health officials.
It will be difficult to say AstraZeneca is reported to have more side effects than the other vaccines. This needs to be scientifically proven. Yes, but one thing I understand is a lot of Gambians got vaccinated with the AstraZeneca, and in fact, a lot of people enjoy taking the AstraZeneca.
In the Gambia, vaccines acceptance is influenced by various factors, including both its safety and side effects. Significantly, majority of the people are concerned about the different types of vaccines, while some prefer to be neutral due to lack of knowledge on the vaccines.
Since I took the vaccine, it was like I only feel pain on the side of my injection. That's the only thing I feel. After that, no other thing. And obviously, we all know you are taking the vaccine to prevent ourselves from having COVID-19. Yeah, so basically that is the baseline. Even if you take the vaccine, some are taking it as if you take the vaccine, you will never get the virus again. But that's not a big deal.
As the issues of vaccine side effects and efficacy continued to raise concern, thus more research on vaccine safety is needed according to officials. The ongoing round of vaccination is scheduled to end by the end of September, and health officials are urging people to build the immune systems and fight against COVID through vaccines uptake. Janke Toure, GRTS News.
The third ordinary session of the legislative year at the National Assembly continues, with deputies debating on the State of the Nation address by His Excellency Adama Barrow. The Vice President, Ali Badara Juve, and cabinet ministers were present to hear from the deputies and their observations. Senabu Jain Jane was in Banjul and she files in this report.
Parliamentarians continued the debate on the President's State of Nation address. Lawmakers reviewed the SONA in piecemeal with the member for Central Badibu, Honorable Suleiman Saho, urging the need for renewed focus to achieve national development objectives.
The financial condition of this country is going down due to a lot of factors, though the President based his speech centered on Ukraine war and COVID-19. That's evident. But I believe we have some internal problems as far as the revenue collection is concerned. So it will be the duty of all of us, particularly those who are given the task, the responsibility, to make sure that the leakages are seen. Every day, you look at social media, you hear a lot of things that's not helping the country. Because Gambia is not an island, and we entirely depend on donor support. If they are seeing corruption walking naked in institutions or hearing about it, that can stop them to fund some of the project, and it's going to affect us.
The National Assembly representative for Janjanbureh, Honorable Omar Jame, reflected on the Foreign Affairs Ministry and the absence of any mention of strategies to tackle deportation in the State of the Nation address.
Also, on the same issue, that is on deportation, I think sometimes, yes, we cannot really deny some of our young people to come back to the Gambia, more especially if they are deported. But again, I think we should also look at the way they are integrated in our society. Some of these young people will come back home desperately from abroad, and at the end of the day, looking at the takeaway that they are given at the airport, it seems very, very little, and I don't think the funds that have been given to them can actually help to address their problems.
Busumbala Nam Mohamed Kande expressed concerns over the president's introductory statement.
As far as I know, I have gone through these statements. I have not come across with any statement by the president made mention of National Development Plan. Honorable Speaker, I will not call a nation a transformed nation, wherein you have remand prisoners at Central Prison going for court and staying in that prison for 14 years. Honorable Speaker, we have come across during our rollout at Mile 2, the longest serving remand prisoner served 14 years in that prison and while still going to court. That is sad. You cannot state a country a transformed nation if you have remand prisoners staying for 14 years in jail.
The parliamentary representatives Foni Brefet Nam, Honorable Ami Koli, and Alaji B. Sise of Sabach Sanjal expanded on key areas captured in the State of the Nation address.
Honorable Speaker, without health, we cannot move. I know Ministry of Health, they are trying, but I want them also to do more scrutinizing, to do more observing on their fellow nurses. What is happening? Why are we dying, the women of the Gambia, during labor? Why are we dying? I don't want people to blame God. Sometimes it's lack of proper care. Why are our children dying? I don't want you people to blame God on unnecessary deaths. It's proper care.
You go to the office of the Ministry of Health. The President has made mention about these ambulances, which is very good. But we were all here a few weeks ago when we approved the 30% increment. It is mentioned in this report as well. That is a very great achievement, but in order, the low-income earners have not seen themselves in that. So I'm suggesting that even if we are not going to touch that part of salary, we should at least look at ways of increasing allowances for them.
The debate continued with NAMs from various constituencies voicing their concerns and observations over several parts of the President's speech, which outlines key interventions and achievements made by his government to advance national development in all sectors. Sainabu Jainjani for GRTS News.
The Ministry of Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs informs the public that it has come to its attention that certain individuals, families, communities and/or agencies have started taking the law into their own hands by encroaching and developing within the lands forfeited to the state by the Janneh Commission. Those individuals, families, communities and/or agencies are warned to stop and reverse those activities or transactions with immediate effect, failure of which will result to a legal action. The general public is hereby advised and strictly warned to avoid trading or buying such lands, as doing so will be at their own detriment. However, those who have third-party claims on such lands should send their claims to the Office of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs, the Quadrangle, Banjul, or call 422-3323 or 422-7315 for appointment and any further necessary information. The release ends. With that, we will go with our first commercial break. The sports news is up next. Do stay.
Hello and welcome to US Embassy Gambia Today, a podcast brought to you by US Embassy Banjul. This weekly podcast will feature leaders and our partners in the Gambia. Join us every Wednesday as we broadcast these informative episodes from our American Corner studio at Africell in Bundung. We are on Spotify, Google, SoundCloud and Apple Podcast. You can also follow the program on our Facebook and Twitter pages at US Embassy Banjul. US Embassy Gambia Today, bringing the Gambia and the United States closer.
At 40, this Bulwakora FC is the goal that the old ground is waiting for. Bulwakora FC has finally broken up the deadlock. It's a goal to Bulwakora. Wonderful, sensational, terrific. Describe it anyhow you may. It is the kind of goal that you would want to see in a match of this magnitude.
These were the reaction of the two coaches after the game.
I'm very sad because since I started my games, we opened the tournament against this team and we defeated them. And today, they defeated me by 1 goal. I really feel sad. And the referee was very fair. I am very happy with his work. I am calling on my fans to join my opponents to celebrate their victory.
The first game, how we know it, open. Yeah, we win 1-0. So
this was the team I met in the opening of the tournament. They defeated me, but by then, I don't know much of my players, the role they play in the field. But today, I am very happy. To my fans, I am saying a big thanks because at the beginning, I was at the bottom of the tournament, and many, including some of my players, lost courage for losing 2 games and coming from behind to win the tournament. We are very grateful. The chairman of the Nyakoi Kambenkafo Sport Committee, Alaji Jaune, registered his satisfaction with the successful conduct of the tournament. The chairman said the objectives of the tournament is to foster unity among the people of the area through sports. We are very happy because there are 11 villages in Nyakoi and we were able to create 10 teams, and all these teams have participated in the tournament, and today is the final. Even you can attest to that. There is unity among the youth, and this is what we want our elders to emulate us, so that we will have one people in Nyakoi. At the end, Blue Bakot FC were crowned the 2023 champions of Nyakoi Kambenkafo annual football tournament as they lifted the trophy amid jubilation from their fans. Sedu Kamara, reporting for Jata Sport from Basse, Opariga region.
Well, that's the news, but before we go, a quick look at our top stories. The Gambia government pledges to invest in TVET development to enhance scientific research, independent learning, critical thinking, and creativity in the Gambia. The West African Competitiveness in Agriculture Project, with support from United Purpose, on Tuesday converged for a day-long forum on market analysis and strategic recommendation on onion value chain and other products. Combating illicit substance abuse, drug law enforcement officers apprehend suspected drug traffickers. Cost of living spikes across the world and inflation in many countries has hit record levels due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, and rising global instability. The World Food Programme says over 20 million people in Ethiopia need food assistance following prolonged drought and a conflict that the United Nations says is affecting over 9 million people in the northern region. Well, viewers, that was all we had time for in this edition of the news at 2000 hours. But do stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs. Up next is the weather update courtesy of the Central Forecast Office. Bye for now.